We are back squarely in growth mode. So if you look at what we're flying today and you compare it with the network we have published, exiting this financial year, there's almost a 30% growth. And that growth is reflective of two factors. One is our planning and training related to pilots, and the other one is the delivery of aircraft.
How will you ensure that this problem is avoided? Because looking at the numbers which we are getting from, let's say, Indigo or from Tata's, we are looking at this sector almost doubling in 6 to 7 years, which means suddenly there could be more aircrafts and less pilots.
So I'd say a few things. First, I think it's all been clarified now, by the courts, by the regulator, that pilots have to serve their notice period. So we're not looking at any more resignations for us or anybody else in the industry with 24 hours notice. Now it's a minimum of 6 months notice. So that's just to give everyone a sense that stability is here to stay for the entire industry.
Now looking at the fact that the sector could double up, whether it is 5, 6 or 7 is what we are debating, but directionally we are headed there. You're confident on the pilot side, but what about the back end? What about the maintenance? What about the availability of parking bays? What about the simple maintenance fleet? Is that everything in place for the Indian aviation sector?
Yeah, I think in place and more. So you can start with terminal capacity and parking bays and airports. And our government has just done a phenomenal job in terms of building airport capacity. Just right off the bat, you've got Navi Mumbai. You look at what's happening in Bengaluru, Noida, Chennai. You take any airport, any state, and the government has ensured that we're building aviation capacity. So we're in a very, very exciting phase. You talked about maintenance. Not an issue because some maintenance is done here. But for us, for example, our engine maintenance is done by the OEM. So CFM is what we've signed a long-term contract with for our engine maintenance. So I don't foresee that as being an issue at all. I think we're in a very exciting phase. For me, it's the golden decade for aviation here and for airlines in particular in India.
When you say Akasa is back in growth mode, how would you define that?
So I'd say, look at the network we published for March. It's about 30% larger than it was today. So what happened was we grew very, very rapidly from 0 to 20 aircraft, all planned to ensure that we actually get qualified for international operations, which we were and did, and we can talk about that. And then we decided to take a planned break of about 6 months in delivery to help us prepare to launch international operations and then start taking deliveries again. So our next 2 aircraft will be delivered in December. This is something that we'd planned way back in 2021. Again, we are a team of planners. We are aviation nerds. This is what we do. This is what we've done all our lives. And so when I say back in growth mode, it's our deliveries will start and our growth will start once again. And statistically, like I said, if you look at our network exit March, we're 30% larger than what we are today.
If I look at the numbers, 20 becomes 25 and 25 becomes 100, 100 becomes 500. You're looking at least a 15 to 20 times jump in your fleet capacity. That's an ambitious number. How would you reach there?
So we'd reach that step by step, aircraft by aircraft, delivery by delivery, one satisfied customer by one satisfied customer. First, the number 500 is not quite in our horizon. We can see till 200, 250.
That's still 10 times.
That is. But remember, we've got a small base. We've placed an order already for 76 aircraft that deliver through 2027. Within the next 65 to 85 days, we'll place a much larger order, which will see us to 2032. So our horizon now is set till 2032. And this happens just by good planning. There's no secret to it. You have to roll your sleeves up and you have to plan day by day. You have to plan aircraft by aircraft, employee by employee, facility by facility. But this is not a problem. And the reason it's not a problem is because, we've got an insatiable appetite for aviation demand in India. Just, think about it. We've got 650 aircraft flying in India. That is about half of one airline in the US. That's how small we are, and we have a population that's 4 or 5 times the US. Another statistic, in the last 25 years, India added about 450 aircraft. In the last 25 years, we added 350 million passengers, or million in terms of population. So for the foreseeable future, next 20 years, we've got this massive demand growth. And so, my view is no matter what, supply numbers and aircraft numbers you're looking at, demand is going to completely outpace supply.
You've reported a loss of 700 crore for FY23. Can I say that is the cost of launching an airline? We should not read too much into it?
Well, you absolutely shouldn't. It's the early days, that's the cost of launching an airline, but it's not even the cost because that's the P&L. If you look at, if you were to use the word cost of launching the airline, you'd think we might have burned through, 1 rupee or more of our initial investment. But we are, free cash flow positive.
Is it?
We're free cash flow positive. So we started with an initial investment and we've just added to our reserves. And this is at the time where you'd expect the largest cash burn. So I'd say for any business, but more so aviation, the P&L and the financial health of the business are completely disassociated for the first 5-6 years of the business. So I wouldn't read anything into it at all. I think what you need to look at is our cash position today and the fact that we're generating free cash.
So before the entire fiasco on the pilot front happened, you were flying and you were flying almost in triple digit on a daily basis. Have you gone back to your number in terms of normalizing?
We're flying triple digit departures. There's no question about that. And in the first 11 months, not only were we the fastest growing airline in the 120-year history of aviation, but we were also India's most on-time airline with the lowest cancellation rates and the most dependable airline. And I'd say we're back in that mode. We're back in growth mode. We're back in terms of, offering a very, very dependable network with being one of India's most on-time airlines.
And how soon do you think this triple-digit departure rate will become 4-digit departure rate?
It's going to take us a little while. That's a 10x. It's going to take us a little while, for us to fly over 1,000 flights a day. We're a few years away.
But that'll be faster than your capacity of fleet addition because you will be able to sweat your assets more, I would imagine.
You can, but for us, offering a dependable service is more important than chasing market share or squeezing the last drop out of utilization. There is a balance here. There's no point, flying a lot more than you actually can fly and the customers suffer for it. That's never been our philosophy. And again, if you look back historically, we've taken great pride in being India's most on-time airline for the first 11 months of our operation. So it's going to take us a few years to get to 1,000 departures, but we're not in the market share game. We're in the business of growing profitably with happy and satisfied customers and employees.
So FY23 was all about launch. FY23 and FY24 could be about dealing with typical birth problems, if I may use the word, getting the house in order. FY24, FY25 is when you will start adding more capacity, start adding more routes.
That's correct.
Walk us through that. How will next year be different from this year?
Well, for one, in terms of aircraft, we should end, March of 2025 with a fleet that is double of what we have today.
So 20 becomes 40.
Approximately, that's correct. We will also launch international. So we've just got what we think are extremely, juicy, financially lucrative routes that have been assigned.
Now, which is the first one you'll fly?
Well, I wouldn't focus on the first one because we've got assigned 5 or 6 routes for us, in terms of Riyadh, Jeddah, Doha, Kuwait, which are all, money spinners for airlines around the world.
These are not code sharing. These are independent.
No, these are independent Akasa flights, Akasa metal, as they say. Very, very exciting for us, right? And so you should see in FY25 not just the growth, but a considerable amount of international growth, Nikunj. That's extremely exciting because that growth comes with much higher profits than even domestic flying today.
The landscape of the Indian aviation sector is going to be changing soon. Akasa is growing and Air India has taken a rebirth because of Tata's. Do you think there could be a price war in the skies now?
Not at all.
Why are you saying this confidently?
I'm saying this confidently, just look at what happened, 1 week ago in terms of, one of the more dominant players coming out with the pricing structure that they did. So I'm saying that just based on, historical information. I don't even need to forecast 1 or 2 or 3 months in the future. But the other thing, which is more important, is that we've got a leading cost structure. So Akasa is one of the most efficient airlines in the world, I'd say, with one of the best cost structures. So no matter what twists and turns the industry is going to throw at us, we're extremely well positioned to be able to get through them. So this doesn't bother us.
Everyone is complaining that for the cricket match to Ahmedabad, whether it was Delhi to Mumbai or Mumbai to Ahmedabad, airlines, they charged a hell of a lot.
I am focused on India's victory. You worry about the rest. I am just focused on the amazing 3 victories that we have. I couldn't be more excited. I think we're going to win the World Cup. I always do. I am just a huge, huge, huge supporter of this Indian cricket team.
You know, both of us, I'm sure that we've seen, I've seen it, I'm sure you must have also seen it, the famous movie Wall Street.
Yes.
Corin Gecko. The punchline of that movie is, every man is chasing a number. What is that number for Vinay Dube?
Well, actually, we're not chasing a number. I have a math degree. My master's is in applied math, so that's a fitting question. But we're not chasing a number. We're chasing long-term, durable profitability. I mean, what I tell people that I see, we want to create an airline where our collective grandchildren will fly on. So we're chasing long-term profitability with happy customers. Right, that's what we're chasing.
I'm sure you got happy investors also. I mean, the fact that you're operating cash flow positive, which is incredible, which is what investors look at. What's been your communication with, let's say, Madhav or from the, Rare family office? They are 2 large investors of yours.
Yeah. So we talk to them all the time. First, I'll say, they're an amazing set of investors. We couldn't be happier with them. But we're a board-run company. We're very close. It's a small group of people. It's not a large group of people. And so we're in constant communication with them. And it's absolutely wonderful.
I remember it was on the Economic Times podcast. You said the following, that thank you to Mr. Rakesh Jhunjhunwala, Akasa is in existence. He's a man with vision. Do you miss him? It's been a year now.
Absolutely and unequivocally. I certainly do. Many of us, from a business perspective, they do. But let us not compare how we miss him to how his family misses him. I mean, let's just separate the two, but we do. I do. I absolutely do.
He was a mentor and great friend. Yeah. So all of us miss him per se as a friend and as a guide for markets also. Final question, if you have to board on an emergency route and unfortunately Akasa does not fly, so what would be the choice of the next airline for you?
That's something you have to answer. I would just say, come try our seats out, come try our food out, and you won't be disappointed.